So yesterday with the card, it was such a weird feeling because like it was a big pay-per-view, but like I still didn't feel it.
It was funny because leading up to the week I hadn't really checked the card over, and so all I'm hearing is like, oh, we got the big one coming out. Then when you look at the card, you're like, it's good, but it's not like monster pay-per-view.
It's not 251.
Hell no.
Right?
Hell no.
Or 245. Like it's not one of these big cards. And I feel like they were exaggerating the greatest of all time talk in the main event to hype the card even more. Yeah. But with that said, like we'll get to it when we get to the main event. But like I told you earlier that, and I even tweeted it out, I thought JDS Kane 3 had a little bit more hype behind it than this fight. You know what I mean?
At least for me too. I was so
hyped
for that third fight.
Because even though JDS got murked in that second fight, a lot of people like he just kept saying, "Oh, I overtrained," and a lot of people bought into it. They're like, "Yeah, that could be a legitimate reasoning as to why he lost his fight." But Cain Velasquez still goes out there and does what the fuck he does.
Well, I remember because the second fight, JDS was just going so hard defending Cain, and then he started to slow down towards the end of the first round. So I'm like, oh, he can make an adjustment pretty easily. And it like this third fight is like, and then JDS just came in exactly the same, except not overtrained, and still got his ass whooped.
Well, we'll talk about the greatest of all time debate after we go through this card. So let's start off at the bottom. Kai Kamaka gets a decision victory over Tony Kelly. They actually win fight of the night, so congrats to those guys getting the $50K bonus
Kelly
each on the first fight.
Like, the guy wouldn't fucking go out. How many body shots?
Third round for him was crazy. Everybody was counting him out. You know, me, you, and Zane included, and still Kamaka gets the victory. Good for him for securing those first two rounds. Chris Daukaus puts out Park Reporter. Reporting live from the park. He gets put out, or TKO'd at least, near the ending of the first round. Unfortunate loss for Porter. 35 years old coming into the UFC. This was a couple times here where we had guys that were a little bit older making their UFC debuts, and we don't normally see that. You know what I mean? I think that's just a more so of a evidence that this whole Corona thing is kind of fucking everything up, where the UFC is just bringing in these older guys that they normally wouldn't, especially with a record of 10-5. Like he's only on a 2-fight winning streak or something like that. It
is weird. Like every card, we're getting all these people being signed, contender series. They're signing like everyone who wins a fight.
You just wait until we start previewing this weekend's card. You just wait. Like, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. But nine UFC debuters. But let's continue.
And here's the crazy part. Before, you always heard about how they almost have too many fighters.
Yeah.
Like, is it really that bad in terms of how many fighters are available to fight? This is crazy.
That brings us to our ESPN prelims, where we did a deciding splits actually on this next fight. Olivier Hanato Souza versus Ashley Yoder. Souza comes out with a unanimous decision victory there. We scored it on deciding splits, so make sure you guys go check that out. Spoiler alert, we do think Souza won. Good win for her. Poor Yoder, she's 7-6 now, but I think she's the best 7-6 fighter. You know what I mean? Like she makes fights so fucking close. She has a ton of talent, but she just makes it too close. Pick up the lack of urgency.
We talked about it deciding splits. It just feels like she's not in a fight.
Yeah,
she's just kind of training.
Just pick it up a bit. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's not sparring. Daniel Chavez goes in there. I believe he missed weight. I think he's the one that missed weight. Both. Yeah.
It seemed like a solid win. It was.
Oh, Brown missed weight. Yeah, Brown missed weight by 0.5 pounds, so it wasn't too bad. But either way, Daniel Chavez comes in there, has a solid performance against TJ Brown. Beautiful leg kicks, was tearing his leg up. Shout out to anybody that bet Daniel Chavez. You have one fight that you can pretty much go off of, and it did not look promising at all. So, sharp play on you guys there. And then Verna Jandiroba goes in there and does what the fuck a minus 300 should do, is just absolutely dismantle Felice Herrig and then submit her pretty quickly.
Herrig didn't even really get to fight.
Whoever the fuck her manager is, I'm pretty sure it's Sucker Punch and Brian Butler and those guys. You should slap yourselves for like lining up Felice Herrig with Jandiroba in her first fight after a 2-year layoff. Roughly.
2-year layoff and 2 losses in a row.
So
when's the last time she won a fight? 3 years ago?
It's been a while.
And it's not like she's the greatest anyway. She's
average. She's average.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And Jandiroba is like top 10, maybe possibly top 5. She only has one loss on her record. She's 16-1 now. Or 17-1 now.
Bad matchmaking. Yeah.
Right?
For Felice.
Then Vince Pachell versus Jim Miller.
Fun fight.
Pachell goes out there and just absolutely grinds out Jim Miller on top.
which was a little surprising, like I would say.
I knew he had good wrestling, but I truly thought that Jim Miller would be able to sweep and get some reversals and really get his jiu-jitsu going. But one thing that Jim Miller has had issues with in the past is his gas tank. So once he started to dwindle in that aspect, we saw Pachell really start to come on. So good win for Pachell. Gets back on track. I think his last... Oh, no, sorry. He beat Roosevelt Roberts last time around. So 2 straight now for him. Good for him. He doesn't have much time left, so if he wants to really make a run, this is his time. And this is a solid victory for him to get a vet under his belt, and now he can continue to move forward. Main card opener, Maraud versus John Dodson. Dodson just, we know he was going to be low output. I was hoping that there was going to be more instances where we see him actually charge forward and land a couple shots and really test the chin of Maraud. I still don't feel like we got it completely tested here. So I want to see Maraud against a guy that has like solid, legitimate technical striking that can put it on him and has output. Yeah, exactly.
Dodson was just not throwing very much. We kind of saw this fight going that way, but I thought Dodson would plant and pop him a little more before circling out, but he just wasn't doing that.
Even that blitz that he does where he spams the left overhook and just blitzes the guy all the way to the cage.
And then we'll come back. But I think you got to give credit to Maraud. I mean, he was always in his face. His striking looked way better. I was surprised he was hitting him with popping shots, good clean shots.
This was more of a small or less output Maraud Vales as well too.
More calculated. Yeah, he wasn't just going crazy, always go. He was actually very calculated. This is definitely his best win.
Yeah.
With this streak, let's go. Let's finally get
step it up.
Yeah, let's get this.
It's funny. I'm pretty certain that he called out Sugar Sean after his. After that win, and we obviously know what happened in the co-main event, so I don't think he wants that fight anymore. But you know what? I am ready to give him somebody in the top 15. Let's dig into the rankings here and see who we can actually give him.
Streak could just be Dodson, 100%. It's time to move up.
That Simone fight was sketchy, obviously, with that weird finish, and then even the Science fight. A lot of people think he won that fight. What are we talking about? Bantamweight. So he's number 15. Sean is number 14. Why not Song Yadong and Maraud Vales? Song's technically coming off a win.
Oh, yeah. Once again, I was actually going to say loss because everyone keeps putting that in my head, and we actually scored it for Song.
Or Maraud against Rob Font. That's the technical striker I want to see him against.
Well, here's the thing. Maraud's going to go up to 12 now. He's going to take Dodson's spot.
True.
So, you know what? Font.
Font, Sunsa was still there if he wants a vet test.
That's a great fight. Font, if you want to see someone test him on the feet, Rob Font will test him on the feet. Although I can also see Maraud just crowding Font against the cage quite a bit.
True, but he does have the output, and even if he does get crowded, we could see him use his Muay Thai clinch almost and try to get some knees and stuff in there.
Looking at this more... Oh, no, am I looking at the... No, that is correct. Rafael Assunção. I wouldn't mind that either.
Yeah, again, it's a decent vet test. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't mind that. Again, Bantamweight has a lot of good guys there that you guys can match people up with. Why not Maraud Vales against fucking Marlon Vera? Even though he's not ranked, he got a solid victory later tonight, right?
I feel like the UFC is going to give Vera a higher opponent. I think they're treating the Song fight like he won. He just beat O'Malley. That's 6 wins in a row now. And
what if he gets Font or Sunsa? So I guess Font or Sunsa would be good for the winners of Maraud and Vera too, right? So not too bad. We just want to see the step up from Maraud, continue to progress him. How old is he, first of all? Let's confirm that. He's 29. Not bad. He's the oldest looking 29-year-old I've ever seen. I know. So he has age on his side. He's not going anywhere. Good for him. Next up, we had Daniel Pineda coming in and pretty much halting the hype train of Herbert Burns. Unjustified hype train. You know what? Kind of justified considering the way he dispatched of his opponents. But if you truly look back at it, just as we saw,
but like you said,
he can be beaten.
Look at the style. Pineda is a good style matchup. He's not going to let Burns kind of run through him. He's going to push him. Have we seen Burns push? Not that much. Or there has been one time, right, where he was...
In the UFC, no.
No, okay, not in the UFC. But I think you were mentioning something to me.
Well, he's lost 2 fights in one FC where the guys grinded him out.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
So that's
what Pineda could have done, and that's what he did. And we saw it.
Even still, right? Plus 210 for Pineda is absurd. Like that line probably should have been like plus 130 maybe. Like
you could still make a case. You could still make a case that Burns deserved to be the favorite.
He should have been the favorite
for sure, especially with like the PED stuff going on with Pineda, and we don't know what kind of fighter he would
level of
look like, right?
In the recent fights.
Yeah. So good win for Pineda there. Way to stamp his seal to come back to the UFC, and he gets an extra 20% from Herbert Burns because Burns missed weight by 3.5 pounds.
Yeah, I will say on the inverse, this is a really bad look for Burns. He looked pretty bad.
Horrible.
Like
he didn't look good.
I mean, you're taking the fight in your realm and then getting destroyed and owned and then reversed and then finished.
Like, don't get me wrong, he is skilled and he could make some noise, but the way that they're just kind of skyrocketing him and making him a minus 300 favorite off the bat,
because he's the brother of Gilbert. That's what.
So now we might get better odds on him, like moving forward, and depending on the matchup, I would look to bet him eventually again. But I just need the right line, and minus 300 was not the line that you're looking for. Next up, Jairzinho Rozenstruik puts out Junior Dos Santos, or TKOs him in the second round. It pretty much went to a T in terms of how I calculated that fight. Like, Jairzinho is going to take his time in the first round, but I will say JDS did perform a lot better in that first round.
He won the first round.
But that could also be due to Jairzinho just being very low output in that first round, just trying to find his spots, trying to find his openings, and then exploit those in the second round.
Jairzinho is that type of fighter. It seems like for him, when he first starts, he's very willing to just lay back and figure you out and like, okay, throw counters and stuff, but he's more checking you out. And then this fight was funny because Junior's kind of winning it. And then, 3 minutes into the second round, Jairzinho's like, you know what, fuck this shit. I'm just going to run at this guy. He just charges him and knocks him out within 10 seconds. Like, that's all he had to do. It was like, he kind of figured out after the first round and a half, like, oh, okay, I get exactly what you can do. I'm done with this shit. And just
he ate a couple shots from JDS too. So, like, you can't really say that he has chin issues. I mean, I did hear that going into this.
When Francis loads up a bomb like this and hits your chin, you go out. It
is what it is.
I think getting put out, it looks worse because you go out, but getting put out the way he did is a lot better than taking a prolonged beating. Like, you're just quickly out and done. Like, the amount of accumulated damage on him, not that bad.
Yeah.
I will say, though, man, for someone to get slept and come back after 3 months, that's pretty... I don't know if that was a good idea, but it worked
Another caveat that you got to give to him here is that, like, he kind of called out Francis afterwards, too. Like, to show that you have the balls to still go out there and, challenge the guy that just wrecked you 3 months ago.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Hats off to Jairzinho.
Even when he came into the fight with Francis, he was not scared.
No,
Francis charged him and he planted to counter. Like, there was no fear or anything in that. Like, Junior fighting Francis, Junior missed the punch and literally got scared as Francis finished him. Like, it was completely different. But good win, solid win.
We'll talk about the fallout for this in terms of what should Rozenstruik get next after we cap off the main event, because it obviously goes hand in hand. So we'll go.
Just a quick thing though. Can Junior please retire?
Oh yeah. We should talk about Junior at least.
He's not going to.
He's not. He's still probably getting paid.
Yeah, as a heavyweight, he's probably making at least six figures.
Let's see if we can
200,000.
Let's see if we can extract that.
Junior should be at least 200K a fight, just based off seniority as well. Like,
yeah.
Look at that record, salty.
Usually Wikipedia has some of the salaries out, right? None here.
Yeah, we'll find it. But I'd say he's at least 200.
Oh, hi, Alfred.
Yeah.
Jeez. He's definitely getting paid, that's for sure. That's 3 straight losses now. To the top of the division, albeit, you know what I mean? Like, he's losing to guys that are legitimate.
But then you look at his, like, the last 3 wins he has. The Blagoy fight, closer than it had to be. He took shots. Tai Tuivasa is not a high-level heavyweight. I mean, he was eating shots against him, too. He didn't look amazing in those.
I think Tai got cut already, too, now. I don't think Tai's on the roster anymore.
The best win in that stretch was the Lewis win, but that felt more like Lewis performing like shit.
Yeah.
Junior's just... He's been done since probably that the Overeem fight. Like, I remember going into the Overeem fight, he should have easily won. And the way he looked in there in that fight and from then on, he's just not that great.
For him, I've always said it. He looks good against mobile punching bags. Yeah. Like, he looks good against the guys that are willing to get punched and not really throw. And we kind of saw it in this Jairzinho fight where Jairzinho was just stationary and he was calculating. He was calculating at the time, but some of the other guys that JDS is fighting, those guys just stay calculating. I mean, they don't find that
can't
opening.
figure it out. Whereas Jairzinho didn't look lost.
No.
He just looked like he's getting outpointed, but he's like, all right, now let's talk.
Yeah, I know where that opening is going to be. So
this is a kickboxer who's had 80 fights. Like, he's not going to be lost on the feet at any point. What the hell is Junior going to do that he hasn't seen before, really?
Well, let's do this. In the top 10, who do we think JDS beats? He beats Olenek.
I think he beats Olenek. I think he beats Sakai.
I don't think he beats Sakai.
I think Volkov beats him. You don't think he beats Sakai at this point?
I don't think he beats Sakai.
Okay, Volkov definitely beats him. I think Overeem beats him. Rosenstrike beats him. Lewis, if maybe...
I'd like to see that rematch eventually if the JDS sticks around.
It's a good style for JDS to fight, but if Lewis comes out with no back problems, he's probably getting put out. And then he's already lost to the top two. And the
Cormier would probably beat him.
Cormier's done, yeah. But
how about outside of the top 10? Walt Harris... JDS could beat Walt Harris. Walt Harris is not the greatest technical striker.
But Walt Harris in that first 2 minutes, he cracks him once, it's over.
That's true. Shamil Abdurrahimov, I could see JDS kind of outpointing him.
For fuck's sake, at this point, I can actually see, I mean, he would probably tee up Olenek. I can see doing dragging him to the ground somehow and fucking doing it. But overall, I think JDS would probably be able to stylistically beat up on Olenek, like punching.
And he moves well enough where I don't think he'll really get taken down. And his takedown defense has held up. That's one thing that is still held up for him. So
he just won't fix this one fucking problem of when he gets pressed on. He doesn't know how to not get hit. Like he gets his back against the cage and he's leaning his face back, still getting hit. Like he doesn't circle that well. Like
I know that's your favorite thing about him.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. Because I love JDS, and then just. After that Overeem fight is when I'm like, oh, this isn't even the same guy. And then going forward after that, I was just always worried for him. Every fight is just worry.
It's kind of like my love for Vanderlei Silva after he got knocked out by Chris Lieben. I'm like, I just hope it doesn't get pulled out or fucking murked all these fights afterwards. He did have that victory over Kung Lee afterwards, thank God. But whatever. Co-main event, Marlon Vera versus Sugar Sean O'Malley. It looked like, I think I saw something on Twitter where it looked like we saw a clip where Marlon Vera, I think he kicks him or checks a kick. And right after is that when you see
that's what caused it?
Sugar Sean really start to...
So I was wondering if it was just a freak accident or did Marlon cause it? Hearing that makes it more of a solid win for Marlon Vera. Checking a leg kick is legit.
Yeah. So right after that is when you see him start to... Hold up. So look at the 254 mark. Like that kick.
Oh, just from Sean moving.
Yeah. Watch the kick.
But the
kick. Yeah.
The kick didn't land on the foot.
It looked like it landed on the knee. It looked like it landed on the knee, though.
Yeah, it's not his knee, which is the problem. Okay, so this was just a freak accident. Like Vera didn't cause it.
Yeah, even look at Sugar's right foot afterwards.
Yeah, look, you see it wobble a bit there. Look, it looks off.
Still.
It
looks
a little off there.
You kind of just watch the...
Okay.
Right there.
Yeah. So to me, it's rolling a bit. To me, it doesn't look like Marlon caused it. It looks like when Sean put his foot down or the way he moved to avoid the kick or something, that made him roll it.
This guy says, watch the kick land at 254, then O'Malley starts having issues planting on his right foot. It wasn't dumb luck. Chito Vera injured O'Malley with the proper leg kick.
I wouldn't say that, man. Like, his foot is fucked up and he kicked him above the knee. Can you really say that? To me, it looked like just Sean, his movement getting away or out of the way of the kick, that caused him to fuck his foot up.
That's such an unfortunate end, though. Just considering the fact that, like, they hyped him up as much as they did, like all the fucking promo.
I'm still saying that if he didn't hurt his foot there, he's going to beat Marlon Vera. I still think he has the better striking.
Do you think they? Well, who knows how long O'Malley's going to be out?
He's going to be out for he was out for 2 years last time. Oh,
well,
that was also.
Well, he had a bunch of like osterone.
But this is the same foot, isn't it?
I don't remember.
I'm pretty sure he fucked up his right foot.
The right foot, yeah, I think you're right.
It's the same foot. It might just be compromised from that still.
Poor guy, just like
that sucks. He getting the Conor treatment here.
Oh yeah, easily.
And he was supposed to start this guy. I really did think he would too, and he was looking good.
Yeah.
And then suddenly, I remember we're watching and we're like, why did he stop moving? Yeah. Why is he walking towards the cage? Why is he standing against it? What the fuck is going on? And then you see like a little bit of wobble. You're like, oh God, his leg's fucked. It's over. And we just knew. It was like writings on the wall.
it's they had a couple of those ESPN like promo packages for Sean O'Malley where they're just like hyping him up to Ronda Rousey, Conor McGregor,
Let's
fucking.
Let him win this fight first, and then you do that. Like not going into this fight off of a fucking win off Eddie Wineland.
So you don't. I agree in the fact that I don't think that this really diminishes his stock too much, considering
even the stoppage. Let's talk about that. If his leg wasn't compromised, that's a bad early stoppage. It was kind of weird. Like he wasn't taking repeated blows. It was like one elbow and then like a hammer fist, and Herb just called. I think he just knew his leg was too fucked up. And even as soon as the fight is over, O'Malley just starts holding his foot in pain. He's not hurt or rocked from the punches.
Yeah.
He did look like he might be a little rocked.
Those are solid and heavy
that
shots.
That elbow was brutal. Yeah.
There's an elbow, there's a hammer fist, and then there was another elbow. There's at least two elbows.
You gotta get like. Yeah, like you said, his stock won't fall that much. I mean, his leg was just destroyed.
If anything, this helps Vera. You know what I mean? This puts him on the scene. This gives him more eyeballs.
It totally erases the song fight for everybody.
Yeah. So he gets back onto the winning track officially. In terms of like what's next from Marlon though, like you gotta reward him, right? You have to reward him with a ranked matchup at least.
According to the UFC, they think he won the song fight, so that's like a 5-6 fight win streak. So yeah, you gotta give him a good fight, man.
Like again, I don't mind the Maraud fight.
He's just got to move up. Like Marlon deserves a Jimmy Rivera. I'm just worried.
Oh no, wait, we talked about this. Either so we get a triangle of some or a quadruple, whatever, a square if you want to call it, of Maraud, Font, Asuncao, and Vera. You match up those guys which way, I'm cool.
I like Vera versus Asuncao. I think Vera deserves the Asuncao fight more than Maraud or someone like that. So. I would like to see that actually, Vera Sunset or Rivera and Vera. Rivera.
Yeah. Or I don't even mind the fact that Cody Staman's coming off a loss. And again, that fight was at 145 as well too. So say what you want about like divisionally, what kind of implications that has at bantamweight. But I wouldn't mind Vera and Staman either. Like it's up in ranking. It helps his stock, if anything, so that's not a bad idea either. So, solid win for Vera. A little bit of an asterisk.
Ranked, eh?
No.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, he's going to be like 12 or 13.
Yeah, he should be up there now. But yeah, very weird fight for the bantamweight division. There's supposed to be a lot of questions answered here. I feel like we still have questions. That's a side part. But yeah. Good for Marlon Vera. That's all I can fucking say. All right, let's talk about the main event. We got a lot to talk about here with Stipe Miocic getting a unanimous decision, 249. What is it? 149-46, 148-46, and 148-47.
There was a 48-46?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
So there's a 10-8 in there?
46. Maybe the round where he hurt DC at the end of round 2? Because DC was like almost finished. So I'm guessing the judge gave him that.
Let's see which round was officially given a 10-8.
I can only see round 2 being a 10.
Oh, no. There was 249-46s.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
So it was just a thing that got it fucked up.
When I heard the broadcast, I heard 249-46s.
Yeah. So only one judge gave Cormier... No, sorry. Let's figure this out. How did the scoring go down? They all have different scorecards.
Yeah, 100%.
So one judge had rounds 2 to 5 for Miocic. One judge had 1, 2, 3, and 5 for Miocic. And then one judge had 2, 3, and 5 for Miocic. So I thought 2, 3, and 5 on first watch would be Miocic. Right?
I had 2 to 5, but I knew 4 was closer and could seeing it going to DC. Yeah, I agree with Cleary's card more. Or
2, 3, 4, 5.
You know what? No, what am I saying? I don't know. I'm thinking about round 1 again. I kind of thought round 1 was almost a toss-up. Like Miocic won the first half pretty handily, and then he got hurt. Mm-hmm. So I don't know how it would score round 1. But,
I don't know why the fuck I can't remember round 1 right now, but I do believe I definitely had it tied up going into the 5th, but not like definitely, because we could also say that one or one of those rounds for sure was a bit of a toss-up. I don't remember which one it was.
Yeah,
but. Definitely round 5. Definitely round 5. You got to give to Miocic.
Yeah, I had it 3-1, and I don't think there's any controversy. You
mean 3-2? Oh, 3-1 going into round 5.
Going into round 5. Yeah, I don't think there's any controversy here. I mean, the only controversy is how many rounds did Stipe win to win the fight. Even the 2 rounds that Cormier won, they're so like tight.
Yeah,
like there's actually an argument for each one of those going to Stipe, but none of the other rounds can you argue that Stipe didn't win those. So very clear cut.
What do you make of the eye poke? Well, two eye pokes. So essentially, it was even, but it seemed like Miocic got like his finger way deeper into Cormier's eye. That one was bad.
You know, the whole narrative is like that second fight. DC's always leading out, like when he's going to grab him, his hands are out. He's always doing this. And DC even addressed it after the fight, saying, "Oh yeah, like that's sometimes when I have the big gloves on, I flick my fingers out to gauge distance, and that was just a habit I have." It's like, well, that's your fucking fault.
Yeah.
Then you need to not train that, because when you're in the cage and your fingers are coming out, that's your fault. I thought DC should have got a point taken for when he poked Stipe.
Yep.
Stipe really, it's almost like after like 3 or 4 DCI pokes, Stipe's like, fuck this, I'm getting you back bad. And he just hit him with the worst eye poke that you've ever seen.
That one was pretty bad.
Rendered him blind in the left eye. And DC was clearly pissed about it after. But I will say, I mean, it's kind of fair game. You poked the guy 3 or 4 times, and then he poked you once. Both of you should probably have lost the point and got penalized.
True, but you also have to take into consideration the lasting effect of those eye pokes. Because some of those eye pokes, you can just blink it out. But this one, it seems...
That is cool. No, but that's cool. But for me, it's the intent. Like, why did you even poke him? You just got lucky that you didn't do too much damage. Stipe didn't intend to do that much damage. The damage, I don't think, it's like, that's a foul. Stop committing fouls. So both of them probably should have gotten a point taken away for that. But I'm not going to say like, oh, it's not fair that Stipe won because he poked him. Like, well, DC poked him a bunch of times too, man.
This was a legitimate victory. I'm not trying to take away anything from Miocic here. Legit. He for sure deserved that victory.
100%.
How much do you think it would have changed things if they actually got a doctor in there to look at Cormier's eye? Because he said he couldn't see at all.
No, he couldn't see.
So if that was true and they tried to do the eye test on him, this fight probably could have gotten stopped.
There's a good chance it would have gotten stopped. Yeah.
Right?
I mean, his eye looked fucked. Like, it looked like it was like a dead eye in the interview, and then he's like, I just see completely black. I'm like, what the fuck is the lasting damage?
Like, my question is, how would it have been judged? Like, is it a TKO via injury for a win for Miocic? Or
I think it would be a no contest.
Because the initial ruling was that the referee said it came from a punch. But on replay, it said it wasn't. So would they have been able to go back to the replay and see, okay, it was caused by that?
But once they call for replay, the fight's done. Now they just have to determine what the end result is. Yeah, I don't know. That would have been
really weird, right?
Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I believe if the fight is more than half done and it's an unintentional foul, that you go to a technical decision. So I think Stipe would probably win a technical.
That was in round 3.
Was it 3?
I swear it has to be in round 4 or 5 for it to be a technical decision.
No, halfway past 3.
So it might have been a technical decision. I'm not 100% sure.
Actually,
but either way,
no, you're right, because then it would, if it's halfway past,
it should be round 4 or 5. I think.
What it is halfway past 3, but they score round 3. What happened up to that point? They actually do that. I remember a Belcher Bisping was like that.
But the thing is, here it's a 5-round fight, so does that have a bearing on it? Right?
God knows. But yeah, that would have been interesting.
So maybe the referee dropped the ball. He did actually mention to DC afterwards. I think they said on the broadcast where the guy goes, "Oh yeah, that was definitely an eye poke. My bad that I missed that."
Yeah.
Right.
But DC, honestly, you can't be too pissed about it, dude.
No.
You keep leading with your fingers out.
This is kind of karma.
It's a bit of karma. It is a bit of karma. Stipe, for fuck's sakes, was out for like 6 months. DC was waiting for the fight because Stipe's eye was still fucked from the eye pokes. Like, come on.
You know what? I am officially a Stipe Miocic believer.
Both said it yesterday.
Like, I am a believer now.
We're always so down on him, thinking he's got these. The resume looks better than the actual wins and the timing that he fought them. But I mean, he handily beat Daniel
This was
Cormier.
A solid performance.
Almost all 5 rounds, you can make a case. There's an actual argument all 5 rounds.
Yeah.
I'd say 4-1. It was a consistent, solid. The wrestling, too. I mean, he got taken down the first, popped right back up. DC could not control him for shit there, so...
I will say, though, I am a bit surprised that Cormier didn't seem to force the wrestling more. Like he said in the post-fight interview that he was waiting for those spots to open, but it wouldn't show itself. So why not create that opportunity, right? So I was very surprised that didn't happen. There was a lot of times
where they were clinching where you're like, can't Cormier just drop down real quick and grab a single? But he wasn't doing it. But then he seemed to think like in the post-fight interview, the opportunity wasn't there. So he was waiting for a specific thing. But once again, it did kind of feel that Daniel Cormier's fight IQ wasn't up to par, but maybe he was rocked bad after the second round, then the eye poke, so there's a lot of things happening there. It's hard to say.
But you got to give him credit, though, for being able to stick in there and win that 4th round. on most people's scorecards. He
Dude.
gave him that 4th round. We thought he was out. Like we thought it was done. We thought he was going to get finished.
We thought round 3, Stipe is about to put this guy out.
Yeah.
Like, and because Cormier, when the round starts too, he's got this wide-eyed look.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't think he might be concussed. I don't think he knows what's going on. But then he recovered well.
Good for him, but good for Stipe. Let's talk about the follow about this first. So we have Jairzinho that wins as well earlier in the
just
night.
a quick thing for the division. This is the best result. There's no
question marks.
There's no champion retiring, vacant belt, none of that. We're just moving right along.
It's pretty clear what to do next, though.
It's very clear. It's Francis.
Yeah, and
Francis
Dana even
Stipe.
said it in the post-fight interview or post-fight press conference, which is great. I'm glad that they talked about that. John Jones' manager goes out there and saying they should do Francis and Jairzinho too, and they should do Jones Stipe. And I'm like, pause. No, I don't care.
Look. If Francis wasn't waiting for as long as he was, I'd be totally on board. But there's such a very clear cut next guy who's been waiting. You got to give him the shot. And plus,
Dana said it too, though. Dana seems pretty set on the fact that he wants to give Francis the next shot, and he deserves it. Like you can't really say that. Now, I hope that Stipe actually like turns around and hopefully fights by the end of the year. The way that it seemed like he was like, I'm taking the rest of the summer to chill with my family and all that
heavyweights,
shit.
especially when they're champions, one fight every 6 months is like best case scenario. Like Stipe's not coming back to February. I'm gonna call it.
I hope we see him by February. That would be really nice to keep this division going, because again, you have Jairzinho sitting there, you have Blades sitting there, you have Derek Lewis sitting there, who's slowly emerging as another heavyweight contender again. So we do.
How does that matchmaking go? Because you're going to do Stipe Francis too, but then you got
Lewis?
3 top guys. Like, how do they get matched up? You got
I think Lewis Blades.
You got Lewis, Blades, and Jairzinho. I mean, if I'm looking at it, I would probably want to do Jairzinho and Blades, but Blades and Lewis, they're ranked high and they both want that fight, so just give it to them. I would just make
3 and 4 Blades and Lewis.
And they're both asking for each other, so just do that fight. But
did Volkov just win or did he lose? Yeah, Volkov won. No, Volkov lost to Blades.
Oh yeah,
Volkov lost to Blades.
No, okay, yeah.
So why? I don't mind this.
Jairzinho.
If Overeem beats Sakai, I think that's fine in 2 weeks. I wouldn't mind seeing a rematch between him and Rosenstrike.
That's the thing, though, because if I'm Rosenstrike, like, who the fuck do I fight?
There's nobody.
The guys ahead of me are all probably going to be matched up against each other or retiring.
Yeah.
There's no one else.
It's Overeem. In my opinion, or if Sakai beats Overeem or Sakai, Rosenstrike.
Just to keep...
Well, that's the only way to go.
There's literally nothing else.
The only other promising name on that list is Cyril Gane, but he's number 15 and he's fighting Shamil Abdurakhimov soon.
Yeah, he's still making his way
up. He's still far off.
I'd give him like 2 more fights before he jumps into like top 5.
So best case scenario in terms of heavyweight fallout here, Francis Stipe 2, Lewis Blades, Rosenstrike, and winner of Overeem and Sakai.
Another thing is I can see them doing Rosenstrike and Blades just because Lewis might not be ready if he's trying to lose weight, diet, and do all that shit. I don't know how long that would take.
We'll see how quickly that they can put the match together, because he didn't seem to take too much damage in that Oleinik fight anyway. You know what I mean?
No, he's more concerned with his weight. But it's funny, don't you? Doesn't it feel like
he looks slim?
But don't you feel like you hear that every fight from Derek? Like going in, it's after the fight, he's always like, nah, man, I got to take my training more seriously, my cardio, I got to lose some weight. And then he comes back, the next fight, he looks the same. And then I've heard this 3 or 4 times.
I don't know. He's looked in better shape the last couple fights.
Yeah. But
like I don't know what it is. His face looks slimmer. Like he physically, he looks better.
But even in this...
I don't know why he keeps saying anything about his weight. It's weird.
But this last one, he's like, yeah, even with the food, I was still eating whatever I want. I'm like, I've heard this so many times.
Yeah.
You keep saying you're going to clean shit up, but then you just don't. Like, it's just like, when the fuck are you going to do it? So
he's a big dude. He likes his fucking food down there. So I think it's like the heavyweight division has not looked clearer than it does now. You know what I mean? It's been so long with like the last 3 years with the Brock Lesnar, no Brock Lesnar, the fucking Miocic sitting out because he has to
this trilogy that took 3 years.
This trilogy, that took 3 years. Like, when's the last time you remember other than Cain Velasquez, right? Fucking fighting, what was it, 2 guys in 5 fights or something?
5 fights. JDS, Bigfoot, JDS, Bigfoot, JDS.
Like that's crazy. So yeah, I'm glad that the heavyweight division has finally fucking figured itself out. Now let's talk about the GOAT status now.
I mean, I for best UFC heavyweight ever, it's based on his resume, you have to give it to Stipe. How do you? I mean, skill wise, when you're watching them fight, you still kind of feel like Kane in his prime is the better heavyweight. But
See, that's the angle I was gonna go. I still feel that like it sucks that he doesn't have the resume to back it up.
Exactly, it's the
but
resume.
Kane, style wise and everything, was the greatest heavyweight
Like when you're
of all time.
Stipe's that guy, man. His resume is amazing, but every time you see him fight, he just seems like a normal fighter, like an average type fighter. But then his resume makes him look like amazing. Then you watch him, and you're like, for a guy who's supposed to be the GOAT, it just feels like you get hit too much. You just it doesn't look like the top level guy performing, but he gets the wins. He does it. He's tough as fuck, and he does have very crisp boxing, underrated wrestling, I would say.
I think Kane would give him fits though.
I think so too.
And I know a lot of people are going to hate on me for that comment, but y'all probably started watching UFC after Conor came into town. But Kane was next
DC
level.
had a lot of success, and DC's much smaller than Kane, and Kane's probably got the better gas tank too. So
I agree. Yeah, Kane had a ridiculous gas tank.
If Kane's constantly fucking clinching and putting you against a cage and peppering you the whole time, I could totally see him beating Stipe. Mm-hmm. And even at distance, if DC was able to punch him as much as he did, Kane's gonna light him up. Kane has very good stand-up,
solid boxing.
Remember that? Nogueira?
Go watch his. I was just about to say that. Go watch him against Nogueira.
Talk about hands.
That was a ridiculous combination. Even the combination he put Bigfoot out with too was ridiculous, dude.
He's very good with his hands.
So yeah, like resume wise, again, that's something we have to take into consideration. So I am okay with labeling Stipe Miocic as the number one heavyweight in UFC
just from
history.
what you see with your eyes, it does feel like Kane is the best one.
And we're never gonna find out.
Never gonna know.
Kane tried to make that comeback against Francis.
It was just honestly like Kane kind of meatheaded himself out of the conversation. Like he literally destroyed his body in the training room to the point where he couldn't show everyone his skills in the cage when it counted.
Man, so unfortunate. So fucking unfortunate.
I remember when Kane first came out. Remember we watched him 3-0, 4-0
Ben
in the
Rothwell.
UFC. He was coming off. He was 2-0 entering the UFC, and then we're like, watch the Congo. I remember after the Congo fight, like Jesus Christ, who is this guy? And his rise, and we watched the Lesnar fight, and you're thinking he's gonna rule and kill everybody, and injuries constantly.
If you guys are newer viewers of the UFC, go back and watch Cain Velasquez's run. Fucking ridiculous.
Well, then you also have to understand at the time, go watch an average heavyweight fight and then go watch a Kane fight.
Yeah.
It's just night and day. You're like,
there was still no heavyweight like him though. The closest thing we had was DC, but with not as good of a gas tank.
Exactly. I would say Kane has a slightly, and DC always talked
there
about
is no heavyweight that has as good of a gas tank.
DC always says it. I'm like, Kane is better than me.
Yeah.
Like I'm only here in the heavyweight because Kane is not around. Like Kane would beat me.
He made his UFC debut in his third fight.
I remember watching that fight too. That Brad Morris guy had no clue what the fuck happened. It was a tornado for 2 minutes. All of his fights were that tornadoes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 straight fights in the UFC. Gets the title in that 7th fight against Brock. Loses quickly to JDS and then comes back. And goes on another 4-fight winning streak after dismantling JDS twice, then runs into Verdum about 2 years after, close to 2 years after he beat JDS the last time. But that's where we really start to see him fall off. His body start to fall apart too.
Kane does not make very good decisions.
No,
the guy decided I'm gonna go to Mexico City 2 weeks before the fight.
Yeah, and Verdum was out there like 3 months before, or something. 2 months before.
And Kane known for his cardio. Verdum not known for his cardio, and Kane gassed.
Yeah,
like what
that one was weird. We did have a little bit of sign of promise when he came back and beat Travis Brown. Still, though, I'm happy that we saw that type of Cain Velasquez go out there, way more aggressive on the feet, throwing spinning shit.
Back kick,
I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Looked good.
It looked good. It's not some sloppy shit. And then Francis just goes in there and absolutely dummies him. But that was close to 3 years after he beat Travis Brown. So
that was also a combo of, the uppercut hurt him, but like his leg blew out totally. I think if
he's 38, man. At heavyweight?
The thing is his back. Like,
has he officially retired?
100%. He can't do it anymore. I mean, he was in WWE,
October
but then
11, 2019. God damn it.
He left WWE too, or they got rid of him.
Mm-hmm. He had that quick Brock.
That was so weird. It was so weird how they used him for like a month, and then he was just gone, and then not signed. It was like, what the fuck was the point of all that? But yeah, I mean, we kind of got off track there. We're all about Kane, but
But still, like Kane deserves to have, like, if most podcasts aren't talking about Cain Velasquez when they're talking about the greatest heavyweight of all time, y'all got to twist it because UFC, he needs to be greatest UFC.
Then you throw Fedor in there.
But you have to mention Kane all the fucking time when you have this discussion. It just sucks that we don't have the fucking resume.
Not quite at this level, but he's similar to a BJ Penn in the sense of, like, when you watch him, you're like, oh, this guy's next level. But then when you look at his resume, like, BJ Penn's resume is pretty salty for how much he's revered and how people talk about him. Like, when BJ Penn, he was easily the best lightweight. And I go back and I'm like, he had a 3-fight win streak, the most at any given time. How did, like, but then when you watch him fight, talent, like, oh, I get it.
Dude, his run from, like, Diego Sanchez, Kenny Florian, Joe Stevenson, those are some crazy
people right now will see,
like,
decision over Diego Sanchez. Well, what's the big deal?
Yeah, but back then,
this is Diego the Nightmare Sanchez, who was like a monster.
Yeah.
And even when he lost, it was tough, close fights.
Yeah.
And Penn just shut him out. It was unbelievable. Like, I remember watching that fight live. We were like, what the fuck?
That was insane, yeah.
Like, this really makes you...
I was a bit of a Diego Sanchez fanboy back then. I'm like, yo, he's probably going to get it done. Nope.
Dude, even Kenny Florian. Kenny Florian was on a 6-fight win streak or something, choking everybody out. So what does BJ do? He chokes him out.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, Jesus Christ.
He was next level for sure.
He was unbelievable. But yeah, Kane kind of in that boat. I mean, he only has 3 losses still, but just in terms of his resume does not stack up to what you see when you watch him fight.
Good win for Stipe, cements his legacy once again. We have what we want to see next, and I think that Dana White is on board with that, which is good. Finally some clarity in the heavyweight division. Super happy about that. Anything else you want to say about the card in general, though?
Well, just on DC, we're definitely a little sad for him.
Of course.
You wanted to see DC ride off into the sunset, like be one of those few guys who rides off on top, and only have that one sort of asterisk with his John Jones wins. Like, that was the only guy he couldn't beat and was not better than, but now he's got 2 top rivals and he's coming on the losing end on both. He mentioned it on the broadcast. You can see that's going to fucking sit with him and hurt him. Like, again, always coming out just second place to these top 2 guys. But
Dana in the post-fight interview made it seem like he could possibly convince him to come back. Like, Dana was saying,
if he won, I would agree. I don't see
But Dana's like, he goes, I don't think that he'll be able to sit with himself coming off a loss.
Especially when he probably thinks the eye poke fucked him up so badly to the point where I couldn't see, and he probably still feels he's a better fighter than Stipe, but he couldn't perform.
No, you're right. But he did. But what he said on the broadcast was that I only want to fight for titles, and I don't think that's going to come. So
you know what though? Dana loves DC. I can see Dana being like, "I'll give you the heavyweight title fight if you're willing to come out of retirement. I'll give you the title fight."
But it can't be against Stipe. Stipe would need to drop the belt.
If Ngannou wins, I can see maybe Dana going.
You think DC would take that though?
That's the thing. I don't think DC. He said titles, but would he care to fight Ngannou necessarily? I don't know.
That's a scary matchup.
Another thing nobody talks about, and DC should hold his head up high as a result of this. Like, you took these losses in your late 30s and 40s. Yeah. Nobody fucking fights at this level at that age.
That's so true.
So,
that's
like,
a good point.
Can you really be like, oh, fuck, like, I'm not as good as this guy? I think 5 years ago, when you're, like, still in your mid-30s, you probably destroy this guy. Like,
I agree.
He's definitely not as good as a couple of years ago. How can you be with the injuries that he's had at his age? So,
yeah.
Like, you gotta put that into context. He was 41 when he took this loss, so...
I'm not going to lie, if they were to have made a Francis and DC fight, especially coming off of this loss, you might get DC at like plus 250, plus 300 odds. And I would take a shot.
I would take a
shot.
Ngannou can't wrestle.
Again, Ngannou's a one-punch guy. Like, if he's not able to not get that knockout punch, DC could absolutely take him down and grind him out.
All I remember is Brendan Schaub saying that while he was watching the first round of Ngannou Stipe and they locked up, he's like, oh, this motherfucker can't wrestle. So I'm like, if Brendan Schaub is saying that, DC is going to exploit. I don't care how much Francis works on his wrestling, he won't get close to stopping DC's wrestling.
Not even.
The problem is when DC's trying to get to that leg, little fucking tap and he'll go out.
Yeah, that's what you have to be worried about there.
Kane could tell you, dove in, fucking one little uppercut. My leg shredded.
There's 2 potential guys that can go out there and beat Stipe that could potentially bring DC back, but it would need to happen sooner than later.
I just don't think they're big enough. Like, maybe I think the best case scenario for DC coming back is if like maybe John Jones wins the heavyweight title.
That's what I mean.
But even then, that's a hard fight to sell with DC coming off 2 losses.
But hey, this is John Jones, who hasn't been looking like himself over the last couple fights, so that can make things interesting too, right? So I wouldn't mind that. But yeah, if this is it for DC, you can't really like super discredit him and his run.
He should hold his head high, man. He's only ever lost to John Jones, and then when he finally did lose to someone else, he was 40 and 41 years old. Like, I mean,
think about this
old.
as well too.
Stipe is old too. I will give him that. He's like 36,
37, yeah. But
it's very impressive what Daniel's able to do.
Take this in. So the last fight, what's his face? Cormier had at light heavyweight was UFC 166 when Kane last beat JDS. And the reason he went to light heavyweight was because Kane was going to be champion for a little bit after that. That didn't end up happening. So could you imagine a reality where we had Cormier stick around at heavyweight? And, you know, what if he was the one that was running shit? He could. So that was 5 years ago. He was 36 at the time.
Can you imagine that? Then that means Jones DC1 would have been a super fight for the heavyweight champ versus the light heavyweight champ. It would have been that.
At heavyweight.
It probably would have been at heavyweight. DC wouldn't have had to cut down at all. Yeah,
that would have been a weird fucking like alternate reality, eh? Like if we did DC
Kane.
Just stick it out. Kane. And it was Kane that fucked it up for him.
Kane ruined his own legacy and DC. God, fuck you, Kane. You did. Train properly. Stop fucking.
Because he fought 3 times after that, but the first time he fought after Cormier's last light heavyweight fight, he lost. And then he never fought for it. He never fought for a title again.
You mean Cormier's first light heavyweight fight?
No, Cormier's last light heavyweight fight was at UFC 166, which is the last time Kane won a heavyweight fight.
Wait, hold on.
UFC 166. That was when he fought Roy Nelson. That was his last heavyweight fight.
Oh, heavyweight.
Sorry. Did I fuck that up?
You said light heavyweight. I was
My
like,
bad.
That's not his last light heavyweight.
My bad. His last heavyweight fight.
Okay, yeah, it was 2013.
Which is when he started to go down in weight too. Because even in that Roy Nelson fight, he came in like 220 something. Like he came in super light. So
that was him saying like, keep me at heavyweight, but I want to get to the weight I need to drop down. But yeah, that's a solid point, man. DC should have been at heavyweight the whole time. He only went to light heavyweight out of respect for Kane, and it was a waste of time. So
who was champion that time? Verdum after he beat Kane, and then Stipe. So we would have got Stipe DC probably even sooner.
Yeah.
God damn.
Yeah, and I think DC beats Verdum, man.
That's an interesting narrative that I don't think a lot of people are thinking about.
No.
Right?
Poor guys, man.
Yeah.
But, man, DC, you really should hold your head up high, man. Like, you're going to go down as one of the greats ever. You won belts in 2 fucking weight classes. You only lost to the GOAT heavyweight and the GOAT light heavyweight. I mean, it's not... And you lost to the GOAT heavyweight in your fucking 40s at the tail end of your career, coming out back injuries and have 2 careers already. You're an amazing commentator. Everybody loves you. The UFC loves you. Like... This is almost
Benavidez level, but at least Cormier won. I wouldn't
say Benavidez just because he won 2 belts. Benavidez couldn't. He won.
That's what I mean. That's what I said almost. But like he would always come up short against the best, but like uber best. Yeah. Right. Other than Davison, we still got to find out what's going on with Davison.
It's sad too because it's like that second Stipe fight. If DC just fights a little smarter, this third fight never would have happened. And he would have just probably rode off into the sunset with 2 wins over Stipe and the GOAT heavyweight.
We probably would have got him and John if he won that second fight.
If anything, yeah, right? And then it's literally like it's just that 2 minutes of that round 4. If he just kind of didn't fuck around too much, he probably could have won this decision pretty easily. And then that's it. There's no Stipe rematch there.
God damn. I feel a little bummed out for Daniel, but this brings even more legitimacy to Stipe, and that's what we want in this sport. We want guys that like you can clearly say this guy is the best.
Look, I don't care how anyone looks when you have a resume like that, and you can say that you beat up Daniel Cormier twice. That's just amazing to be able to say. Only John Jones can say that.
Yeah,
and now Stipe can say that. It's fucking amazing.
Mm-hmm. I think that puts a bow on UFC 252. Let's do a quick overview of this upcoming card. Like I said, there's going to be 9 guys making their UFC debuts.
Hold up. Okay, so let me just look this over. I know.
let's see.
Oh, that's Jared Gooden?
Yeah.
Not Jared Gordon. All right. I was like, I know him and Dwight Grant. No, just Dwight Grant. It's Gooden. Okay. Shayna Dobbs. Okay, I know her. Dwight Grant, I remember.
Yo, Shanna Dobson plus 600 underdog against this. Where am I? Where did you see her?
Yeah, right there. Women's flyweight, right?
Women's, Maria Agapova. Fuck. Yeah, Agapova's like a minus 800 favorite.
See, I don't even need to know anything about the fight to know that Dodson's probably worth a bet at those odds.
I don't know. I have to do the studying, but Agapova.
Just a crazy. Good. Dwight Grant, I remember. I don't know why I remember this because the fight sucked, but him versus Alan Jouban, he got that split decision.
Yep.
That was funny because Jouban was like screaming after the fight how he won that shit. And I'm like, I kind of thought that Dwight might have pulled it off too, but
it was a close fight.
Oh, okay. Going through this card, fucking Sato again.
At least it'll be an entertaining fight. Daniel Rodriguez always brings it, so I'm cool with that. Any other names?
Mike Rodriguez.
Hold on. There's how many fights are there? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. The Kasanganai fight is being pushed back to next week, so don't worry about that one.
Austin Hubbard, I know.
So out of 12 fights, how many fighters do you know?
That's the thing, dude. What the fuck? I know Dwight Grant.
1.
I have heard of Shayna Dobson, so let's do
2.
that. That Inoue guy, I've seen that. Mizuki
guy. No,
that's a chick. Well, that's a women's fight. I know the name. What I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I've seen the name.
I know that Mizuki guy. No, Tony, you don't. So
name.
2. So 2.
No, I've seen the name.
Shut up.
At least give me that.
Shut up.
Okay, fine. Sato.
3.
I actually don't know who Mike Rodriguez is. Like, I can't picture it. And then the top 4 fighters. So I know 7 fighters out of 22. Yeah. Okay. That's not good.
Let me give you a quick little background on some of these guys. Matthew Semmelsberger was supposed to fight. Who the fuck was he supposed to fight? He was supposed to fight a guy with a little bit of a name. I will figure this out. Oh, Phil Rowe. He's supposed to fight Phil Rowe, aka Fresh Prince. So there's those 2 guys. Carlton Minus is obviously stepping in for Phil Rowe. Timur Valiyev fought over in PFL a bunch of times. Decent prospect. Don't know who the fuck Mike Stragel is. I'll have to still do tape on that. Ike Villanueva versus Jorge Gonzalez. That should just be a banger of a fight. Gonzalez has only ever gone to a second round once in his career. Hold on, but take in this resume. Jorge Gonzalez. There we go. It's weird. His nickname is George Street. I don't understand it. What? 16-4. He's only gone to the second round once in 20 fights.
That's the type of guy you see get grinded out in the UFC.
But in this fight against Ike Villanueva, I don't think he has to worry about getting grinded out because this guy, he just got knocked out by Chase Sherman.
Chase Sherman? That fucking guy? The guy who gets knocked out by everyone else?
So there's that.
Chase Sherman was one of those guys. He's really good on Twitter, so you wanted to like him.
Yeah.
And then when he starts fighting, you're like, Jesus.
Yeah.
You just
I will say this is his second stint in the UFC. I'm a little bit more excited for it just because he looks like he's really putting his striking together. So it should be interesting to see how he pans out this time. I remember
he got into a bit of a Twitter beef with Colby, and Colby's like, "Who the fuck are you? Dude? You get knocked out every fucking fight. Don't talk to me." Yeah. That was pretty funny.
Dwight Grant against Jared Gooden. Shout out to Jared Gooden. My guy, Best Fight Picks, sponsors this guy a lot. They're like guys from down in Georgia, and Jared Gooden's a guy that's been coming up there for a while, and he actually has a pretty decent record. He's been around for a long time. Jared Gooden, let's pull him up real quick. 17-4.
Oh wow!
Yeah, like he has a bunch of
that's a lot
names
of
on his record.
He's got more
I think he's fought a couple UFC. Mike Graves, I think.
Michael Graves,
but he lost there. Any other names?
Graves has a win over Luque. It's so funny.
Yeah. That's such a trip.
When you think about if they fought today, that wouldn't be fair.
Yeah. What else do we got there? Maria Agapova against Dobson, like we were talking about. Austin Hubbard against Joe Selecki should be a decent fight. Selecki's a solid wrestler. We saw Hubbard last time around put out Max Roskopf. That's the guy that got cut, right? So good win for Hubbard there. Amanda Lemos against Mizuki Inoue. Don't really give a fuck. Daniel Rodriguez. I'm excited to always see this guy fight now because he's been really putting it together. Last time around, he took out Tim Means.
Okay, that's where I've seen that fucking name. I was like, I know I've seen Daniel Rodriguez somewhere. I just don't.
Tim Means. Oh, sorry. Last time he beat Gabe Green, who stepped in on super short notice because Kevin Holland had to pull out. Tim Means. This is a guy, actually, if you remember from when what's his face was on Rogan, kickboxer, Joe Schilling.
Oh.
Joe Schilling was talking about this guy. He goes, there's not a lot of fighters I know that are as calm, cool, and collected as this guy. He just sits in the background on his phone. And then
doesn't give a
Joe Schilling's just like, yo, you're fighting soon, right? He goes, yeah, it's cool. He goes, that's one of the best fighters in terms of like being so laid back and relaxed and then knowing when to turn it on as soon as he steps into the cage. So I'm excited to see what Rodriguez brings to this division. But it's a fun fight against Takashi Sato coming up. What else do we got? Marcin Prachnio versus Mike Rodriguez. That should just be a quick like light heavyweight slugfest. OSP against Alonzo Menafield. I'm intrigued by this because of the betting line.
Is OSP a big favorite?
What do you think the betting line is?
Pull up Menafield's record.
He just lost to...
I know Menafield, I just can't recall.
He's just a big knockout guy, but he just lost his first fight to Devin Clark.
Oh, I remember this guy. He hurt Devin Clark really badly in the first round.
Yeah,
and
but didn't finish
jacked.
It. Yeah. He's kind of a like a Francis Ngannou kind of guy.
Okay, I'm going to assume. I'm going to say that the line's what, minus 250 St. Preux to like plus 200.
Well then, you might want to make a bet on OSP.
Menafield is the favorite.
I don't get it.
Surprised. OSP's not that great, but
he's not that great. But all he needs is one takedown.
I was just about to say,
all he needs is one takedown.
Menafield, he is that typical UFC fight, that guy coming in who explosive in the first round, then gasses because he's just too muscular. So
yeah,
but that's the thing. OSP is so I can see him getting put out in the first too. But then, like you said,
he's worth a bet at
one
underdog
fucking
odds.
Takedown, and he clinches a bit. Maybe it's not going to go.
OSP
well.
via sub is probably the prop I'm going to be looking for here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So why not look for that? Menafield's at a good gym with Forest MMA, Saif Sayoud and those guys, but like he truly is, in my opinion, one of those Francis Ngannou, Abdul Razak Al Hazan guys. Yeah,
all those thick jack guys who are just like first round blitzes, like. Yeah. All you got to do is weather the storm, and you're going to win round 2 and 3.
If Devin Clark is able to get away with getting this guy down and grinding him out, I think OSP will be capable of doing the same thing. And OSP is a big guy too.
And Devin Clark got rocked and still stayed in it. Like, come on, man. OSP gets rocked and then submits guys.
I'm cool with it. Yeah. I think this is a good spot for him. And then main event: Pedro Munoz against Frankie Edgar.
I mean, if this was Frankie Edgar even 2 years ago, all the money on Frankie Edgar, especially at these odds. But this is old man Edgar, and we don't know. Like
Munoz hits hard. That's the issue here. Munoz hits really hard,
and he's so tough that if Frankie's stands his ground and tries to throw back, Frankie's going out. Munoz is so tough. Nobody can put the guy out. You punch him. He doesn't even seem to get rocked. And Frankie's coming off of bad knockout. He's old now, so I don't think it's going to go well for Frankie. But if you're trying to get into the top of the bantamweight division, this is probably the easiest guy to get from a technical skill point.
Munoz, heavy puncher, good guillotines too, so Frankie's going to have to watch his neck whenever he goes for takedowns.
I don't think the guillotine should be a factor against Frankie. But man,
at this age, you don't know.
Exactly. That's
he's taken so much damage, he must have slowed down.
If he gets rocked too, and then he wakes up in a guillotine,
So I think a good bet here would be to look for Pedro Munoz to win this fight inside the distance. Because I think the fight go to decision is like minus 115.
Really?
Fight go to decision, yeah. It doesn't go to decision is minus 115.
Even when he got hurt by a zombie, it wasn't a hard punch, man. Frankie gets hurt easily now. It's just
I definitely like the fight doesn't go to decision here, but I think that we'll get decent odds on Pedro Munoz to win inside the distance, considering that the fight doesn't go to decision is minus 115. So I think if you're gonna look to bet Munoz, that's the line you should wait for. That's the best value that you'll get, in my opinion. But yeah, divisionally, you're right. This doesn't do much other than like it asserts Frankie into the division. With a win. but that's really about it. Because
This
where's
fight-
Pedro Munoz at?
This fight is to just get Munoz a win,
Yeah.
so that he can stay at the top, and then maybe get matched up with another guy coming off a win. Or
Pedro
it's
Munoz is number 5.
there you go. Or it's to get Frankie right into the top 5 and prime for a title shot. But
And then eventually get murked by whoever the
Exactly.
fuck else he fights next.
I really do contend if Frankie loses this fight, just retire. Like
Yeah.
you got you're only doing this now because you think you have hope of being a top guy at 135.
Yeah.
If you can't beat Pedro Munoz, you're not going to beat out these other guys. So just please retire.
Yeah. Yeah, there's not much really to say about this event. Like it's just an event. Like you know me. I'm a hardcore.
Yeah.
Even this one has me feeling a little
I'm
bit
classifying
salty.
myself as a hardcore, but not at your level.
Yeah. Like
I
I
research all the fights. That's
like
what
the I in Calvillo card seems a little bit more intriguing than this one. Like let me just take a quick look at what that I Calvillo card looked like, but I feel like that was definitely way more intriguing than this is. As an overall card, especially considering that there's 9 fighters making their
Yeah.
fucking debut here.
Dude, those top 2 fights are the only ones relevant, and they're not that great. So
Like Roberson, Vittori, you could have easily headlined on this Munoz and Edgar
this is a
card.
much better card, 100%. Even just with the
Aguilar.
top 4 fights.
Yeah, Aguilar, Rosa, Feely, Jourdain, Agapova was on that card too, which is hilarious. Vales was on the prelims.
Dude, all you gotta do is look at how many blue names you see versus black on both pages.
Yeah, you wiki capping out here, Tony. I see you. Not much else to say really about this card. I think the card on the 29th is officially announced as Rakic and Smith as the main event. So I'm looking forward to that fight.
Alexander Rakic versus Anthony Smith. Okay,
Yeah, that's not too bad of a card there.
That's a good fight.
And one thing they also did confirm on the pay-per-view last night was that UFC 253 is going to be September 26th, not September 19th like they originally planned. So that opens up September 19th for Woodley versus Covington as the main event.
Oh yeah, that's what they were trying to book a fight night. That's poor Woodley. Can't get a break and get a 3-rounder.
No, well, give me all the money on Colby Covington. That's all I'm going to fucking say. All of the fucking money.
All of the fucking
All right, make sure you guys go check out Deciding Splits
you
where we
think,
did Ashley Yoder. Go ahead.
You think Colby could finish him?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I just feel like Woodley would hold on enough.
No, I
you
think
Colby
round
could
3 or round
actually
4
be
it's
the
going
one
to
to
be too
put
much.
him out.
I don't think he'll knock him out. I think he'll just overwhelm him.
TKO,
Yeah.
ground and pound maybe.
Easily. Round 3, round 4, I think that's where we could see it. Anything else you got? All right. Make sure you check out the Deciding Splits where we went over Yoder versus Souza. Let us know what you guys think about that decision. And we appreciate you guys watching as always. Hit the subscribe button. We are over 1,000 subscribers finally. Thank God. Let me hit that monetization button. Thank you guys for watching as always. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, and we'll see you guys next week.